It's weird, being in here on this side, seeing my reflection in the mirror, and you guys not talking to me. Feels like home. I liked interrogations. Favorite part of the job. When it goes well, it's really satisfying. Slam down a large folder, usually stuffed with blank pages to make it look thicker, ask questions, catch mistakes, push them until they crack. There's only so much you can take before the pressure is just too much. I like to leave them alone. Watch them for hours, just let them stew on their own for a little while. Knowing someone is watching you, but refusing to speak, makes most people antsy. They talk to fill the silence. They know someone they can't see is on the other side of the glass, so they talk to it. See their reflection. They're shaking, the sweat, trapped. In situations like that, we don't like silence. It allows us too much time to think and worry. We don't want to be left by ourselves. We don't trust ourselves. Talking helps. Even if talking is what locks you away forever. I really don't know what you hope to gain from me discussing this stuff. Yeah, this room is very familiar. It's like the one I interrogated Denver in. I didn't think that would be my last. Didn't think any of this was going to happen. Wasn't like me. I was desperate. But yeah, I ran away with a suspect, lost him, then went to a suspended agent. Tucker is insane and impulsive, but I needed that. I needed someone not held down by the letter of the law. None of this was by the books. None of this made sense. We were dealing with things beyond what we could understand, and I needed someone who could face that head on. I was impressed and scared. Tucker stared right at the atrocities and went after them. He didn't care about the danger. He didn't care if he died in the process. If he could stop it from happening, no matter how brash or stupid, he would. You can't help but admire that. But this cult... Couldn't let it go. There are so many of them out there. So many groups, cults, peeking behind the curtain. And we're all blind to it. We choose to ignore it. They slink in the shadows and we don't notice or care. Our safety so enamors us, our picket fences, that we'd rather not see the atrocities happening in front of us. The things men do, supernatural and ordinary. Sorry. Where was I? The mirror distracted me. Right, yeah. The mirror.
Welcome to the Beating Heartland, created by Denver Baughman.
Episode 31. The Experiments. It was odd, seeing someone on the other side of the one-way mirror. It meant they were purposefully keeping the room on the other side just bright enough for us to see the uncanny smile. That's all we could see. The smile, the perfectly white teeth. It looked like there were too many of them. I could be wrong, but there was something wrong with it. They wanted us to know we were being watched. Wanted us to squirm under observation. Tucker clutched his gun and raised it towards the mirror, aiming at the smile. The light on the other side flickered off and the teeth disappeared. We were left looking at our reflections. I was pale and had bags under my eyes. I looked frail, spent, still healing, my face exposing my condition. Tucker was sweating. His hand holding the gun shook. Then we both blinked. The reflection shifted, and the mirrored Tucker pointed his gun towards my reflection. I looked at the real Tucker beside me. He looked just as confused, his gun still pointed at the mirror. I looked back, the mirrored Tucker mouthed something I didn't catch, and fired. Blood splattered the glass, and my reflected body collapsed. I jumped, gasped, and blinked. The reflections were normal again. They stared wide-eyed back at us. Tucker looked at me. Confusion melted to relief. "You're here," he said. "Good. Gotta get out of here." He leaned closer, whispering in my ear. The data already made it to my buddy. We find an exit and run. I think I'm figuring this place out. We gotta end the cycle, slip past their detection. There are a few dead zones. Confused, I whispered. Cycle? Dead zones? Tucker looked at me and tilted his head. You're fresh. I haven't experienced it yet. Why am I back here? He looked around the room. Yeah, this was the first. What do you mean by the first? I asked. A rumbling sound was coming from behind the mirror, causing it to shake. Tucker looked at it and grimaced. Not that thing again. We need to run. The only way to go was through a dark hallway that stretched beyond an empty doorway in front of us. Tucker sighed, steeled his nerves, and ran through the doorway. I followed behind, limping slightly. We might as well have been running in circles. Other openings appeared in the hallway, more corridors heading in different directions. No doors, just featureless white halls that turned and twisted for no apparent reason. It was like a maze with no ending. There was no indication of where we were going, and no way of knowing if we were even making progress. Tucker seemed to have a direction he was heading, like he could sense a difference in the identical corridors. We finally entered a huge hallway, and at the very end there was a white door. Tucker sighed. Finally. We ran towards it, and the hallway extended. It grew smaller and smaller until it was almost out of sight. You gotta be kidding me. Tucker panted and slowed to a stop. He yelled up at the ceiling, "Stop toying with us!" He fell to the ground, gasping for air. I leaned against the wall, my legs throbbing, my lungs desperately trying to recover. What do we do? I managed. Tucker sat silent for a moment, eyebrows knit together. We need to confuse them somehow. A security camera buzzed overhead. I looked, and the black eye stared at us with a blinking red light. How? They're watching everything. They control this place. Tucker shook his head. You can't control something like this. It's too random. They just watch over it, guide it where they can. How do you know that? Tucker shook his head. You need to see it. It's perception. Close your eyes. What? Close them, Tucker snapped. I did, and felt Tucker grab me by the arm. The ground under us shifted. I was tempted to look, but sensing my intent, Tucker gripped my arm tightly and whispered, "Not yet. Let it change." The ground stopped shifting for a moment, and Tucker hissed, "Now!" When I opened my eyes, my face was inches from a monster. Its face was serpent-like, a long, scaled snout and eyes slit and red. The skin was patchy, pale gray, and marked occasionally by scales. The body was twisted, but vaguely humanoid, like someone had taken a snake and a human and roughly stitched them together. It opened its mouth, and long fangs appeared from the gums. A gunshot rang in my ears, deafening me for a moment, and the creature collapsed to the ground, dark blood pouring from its mouth and head. That's new. Tucker lowered his gun and shoved the monster with his shoe, inspecting it. You afraid of snakes or something? Not really. They're fine if they keep their distance. A voice emanated from somewhere above us, echoed and fuzzy, coming out of a hidden speaker. Noted, it said. I looked up. What the? They're learning, Tucker said. That thing look familiar to you? It looks like the zookeeper's work. Older, though. The stitching is rougher. Makes sense. Tucker nodded. I sighed. Want to explain this? He opened his mouth to respond, but suddenly things shifted in the blink of an eye. Instead of white walls and endless hallways, we were in a cave tunnel. It was dark, but there were little lights strung up every few feet. Tucker wasn't looking at me. He was staring ahead, his face dark. You know this place, I said. He didn't respond. He began to walk, and I followed. We walked in silence. The only noise was the occasional drip of water from the ceiling echoing through the tunnel. Tucker stared straight ahead, his fists clenched. Is this Colorado? I asked. His head snapped towards me, startled, like he didn't know I was there. You're here. Yeah, of course, I replied. In response, hands reached from the floor and grabbed us by the ankles. I screamed and collapsed to the ground. More hands appeared and grabbed my arms and head. I struggled and heard Tucker scrambling and kicking beside me. Rocks scraped my skin, and the hands tried to pull me into the ground with them, which seemed to open like a terrible, sharp-edged mouth that split into my skin. I blinked. I was still restrained, but I wasn't on the ground or in a cave. My limbs were tied down, and there was a clamp on my forehead, keeping it in place. I was on what felt like a dentist's chair, and someone was pointing a light in my face. The man was old. Very old. He had an extremely wrinkled face, and his movements were slow and deliberate. His hair, what was left of it, came out in long, wispy strands that clumped in weird areas. A mask covered his mouth, and he muttered to himself, voice scratchy and weak. Increased heart rate, but not to the extent we want. Good response time. Some sweat. Good. He grabbed a clipboard and wrote some notes. Let's see here. What have you seen so far? He flipped through some pages, then looked at me with a squint. They're throwing you through the gauntlet. You don't break easily. What do they have you doing right now? I blinked, and more papers appeared in a stack on the table. The old man, noticing the new stack, snatched them. He chuckled as he examined the papers. Oh, that's more like it. You don't like surgery. Why is that? He glanced up and noticed me staring. This you hasn't seen it all yet, have you? I tried to speak, but couldn't. It was too painful for some reason. Oh, well, you'll experience it all soon enough, he cackled. Hazy memories, if you could call them memories, flashed through my mind. Terrible things. When had those happened? I hadn't done those things, but it felt like I had. Then they quickly faded, and I forgot the details. The old man smiled. Have fun out there. I blinked, and it all changed again. I was beside Tucker, his gun raised, eyes wide and bloodshot. We were in a large cave opening. Writing in blood was scrawled all along the walls in the same strange language I'd seen in his apartment. Corpses littered the floor, dried blood plastering to their forms. In the center of the room, there were several bodies positioned with ropes and sticks to be sitting on their knees, arms outstretched. There were 7 of these bodies, arranged in a circle. Inside the circle, 2 people stood with 2 bodies at their feet. They were facing away from us, and on the backs of their jackets were the letters FBI. Tucker mumbled, I don't want to see this again. Stop showing me this. Tucker, what's happening? He hadn't known I was there. Startled, he whipped around and fired the gun. I saw the blood splatter out of my head and onto his face. Everything went dark. I lay in the water. It was murky, and the current rushed around me. I was looking up at a ceiling fan slowly turning. In the distance, I heard a little girl screaming. It was the lake house. That awful night. I turned my face towards the screams, and my wife's corpse lay beside me, her face looking at me with the blank expression of death. She smiled, the bullet wound in her head still oozing blood. It can all be over if you want it to be, she said. Let it all go. The current washed her away, and the water entered through my mouth and nose, drowning me. I sat at the computer. I was typing something. What, I wasn't sure, but my fingers knew what to do. I had never been able to type that fast before, but the words flew by as my fingers frantically tried to beat a deadline that I wasn't aware of. The language wasn't one I recognized, but the formatting looked official. Some type of report. Around me there were hundreds of people, all typing with the same frantic energy. The only noise was the thundering keys. Overhead a voice from a loudspeaker said, "Keep up the work!" A dark presence slinked through the aisles. A walking shadow. Something like smoke fell off the body and dissipated before it hit the ground. It was hard to look at. There were no features, no discernible shape. Its presence immediately filled me with a sense of dread. Almost sensing this, it stopped near my desk. My fingers slowed for a moment, and the thing turned and regarded me. Fear clutched my heart. wasn't working fast enough. I had to get back to work. My fingers quickened. But, defiant, I looked right at the thing. Darkness. There was nothing but never-ending darkness inside its unknowable form. The void inside consumed me. Blink. I stood in a line of people that stretched as far as the eye could see. We were all holding papers and slowly walking towards... I wasn't sure, but somehow I knew that wherever we were heading would be it. Death. Discarded. No longer of use. We all continued to walk anyway. A slow trudge of death. No purpose but to hand in our papers and get out of the way for the next person to hand in theirs. I heard a voice. Tucker's voice. It was distant and I didn't hear what he said. He said something again. This time I stopped, and the endless line behind me also came to a halt. A siren immediately started to blare, and I felt a rushing wind and heard an awful screech as a flock of... I don't know what, sped towards me. I listened. Through the noise of the alarm, the screeching of the bird-like things, and the rushing wind, I heard Tucker say, "I'm sick of this." I took a step towards the voice and fell. I was falling through darkness, speed increasing, wind whipping past my ears as the screeching of the alarm and the winged creatures racing towards me faded away. Then I saw Tucker. Perceived him. It was like a daydream. Almost visible, but not quite. "I'm sick of this," he said again. "We're getting out of here." He raised his gun at the mirror and fired.
That'll do. Come on.
What?
You feeling okay?
Sorry, I'm not... I don't know.
Stay with me. Focus. I got you. It's okay. It's alright. Breathe. Just breathe. You're still getting used to it.
I wasn't here.
Yeah. This place is confusing. You're with me right now. Okay? Focus on that. We're hopping through this broken mirror. Got that?
Yeah, Yeah.
There you go. Looking better already.
We hopped through the opening that Tucker had made and landed in a small observation room. There were a few chairs, a table, and a filing cabinet. I wobbled, still disoriented. The door across from us was slightly ajar, and the white office light peeked through. Tucker opened the door and ushered me into the hall. Instead of the featureless white hallways we'd been running through, this one looked much more like an office. A potted plant near the end by a door, the occasional work of art hung up on the wall, usually depicting some natural landscape. It was familiar. Sterile. Tucker glanced around the rooms, which had different nameplates on them. My vision was fading in and out, so reading them was difficult. But Tucker saw a name that must have interested him, because he opened the door and pushed me in. It was dark, except for a few blinking lights and a glow from a monitor. I looked towards that light and noticed a whole wall of monitors, close to 20 of them. Computer components and wires filled the rest of the room, accompanied by the soft hum of technology. Someone was sitting in a chair facing the monitors. Tucker raised his gun, but the person didn't look at us. All the monitors were off except for the one in front of the guy, which displayed a blue screen. Tucker carefully walked up to the man, gun still raised. The man didn't move. Tucker reached out a hand and nudged the man's shoulder. No response.
Hello? Hello? What the crap is wrong with this guy? His eyes are open.
Is he breathing?
I don't... Yeah, he is.
What do we do?
See you later, dude. There we go.
Really?
What? Who's in the way of the keyboard? Alright. Let's power these suckers up. Bingo. Let's see what they're watching.
Is this all the security cameras?
Yep, looks like it. Well, technically. I'm sure there's a lot more than 20. There must be a... Yeah. This button here changes which camera the monitor is seeing. That one there says 125. There are hundreds of these suckers here.
Okay. So... Wait, go back.
Huh?
Go back a few cameras.
Oh, right.
Stop. There. That's us. I'm looking at the camera. That happened... That happened a few minutes ago. Are these recordings?
No, these are live. I can move the camera with this joystick.
Then how?
You're saying this happened already?
Yeah, you don't remember?
No.
What is happening? Before, you seem to know a lot more about this.
Really?
Yes, you had plans and ideas. You seem to know why it was happening. That hasn't happened to you yet?
I don't know.
How does that work? Keep sweeping through.
Rightio.
There we are. And there. There again. Wait, stop.
Did I just shoot you?
Don't remember that one either?
It's fuzzy. It's all fuzzy right now.
Do you remember any of them?
Sure, What the crap is that?
I've seen that thing.
What am I looking at?
Just keep going.
What?
The cameras. Move off of it.
Right. I can't. It's not letting me move to another camera.
Is the button broken?
I don't know it. The thing's getting closer to the camera. It's like it sees us.
Turn it off.
Turn
it off!
I can't!
We bolted out of the room as black smoke started to pour out of the monitor. We slammed the door behind us and ran down the hall. Tucker looked around at the doors, trying to find one that could lead to an exit or have something that could help us. The door down the hall had smoke pouring out through the cracks now, and the handle was starting to jiggle. Tucker groaned and threw open the closest door. We rushed in and closed it. At first, it looked like a larger room with tables and chairs, possibly a cafeteria, except there wasn't anyone else in there. Quickly, the room shifted. The walls closed in, and the tables and chairs vanished in a blink. The doors behind and across from us disappeared. When it was done, we were in a tiny, featureless, doorless room. More of a box, really. Tucker yelled and banged on the walls, trying to find a weak point. Nothing. We both tried to blink, to perceive ourselves away. Nothing. Suddenly, Tucker disappeared. The place where he'd been standing, empty. "Tucker!" I yelled. A ragged voice coughed behind me. "Yeah." I turned, and Tucker was lying against the wall behind me. His clothes and face battered and bloody, one eye swollen shut.
Oh.
You're bleeding. What happened?
That thing found me. Oh, I remember this. Being trapped in the room. I can never keep you around for long.
What do I do?
I think my stomach is still bleeding. Can you bind it? Use some of the shirt?
Of course, yeah. Sorry.
It's fine. I just feeling.
You don't need to talk.
No, I do. I can't go somewhere else. Not like this. Need to focus.
You've been around a lot more than I have.
We're both everywhere at once.
That doesn't make sense.
No, not really. I'm stubborn. Had to see a lot of it. It never ends. There's so much.
Hold still for a moment. This is gonna be tight. Sorry. That should hold.
Thank you.
Well, I'll help you stand. We can get out of here. Hold on to each other. Find a way.
Shh. We're trapped. Thought I could find a way out if I just kept searching. Look at me. They're going to kill us soon, or torture us, or whatever they want. We can't stop them.
There has to be a way.
I don't.
Hey, stay with me. Don't fall asleep.
Yeah, I want to hear about my partners.
Tucker, I don't know if this is the time.
I need to stay awake. Talking about that, about them, it hurts. Maybe that'll keep me awake.
Okay. Yeah, sure. I saw them. Your partners in a cave with a bunch of corpses.
Yeah. Yeah. This place found my weak spot pretty quick. Kept sending me back there. Got shot by them quite a bit.
Yeah, I saw my wife. Heard my kid.
I'm sorry.
No, don't. This place is... It's weird.
Yeah.
No, you don't. Nope, your partners. Tell me about them. Look at me.
Right. We got a job in Colorado. About a dozen missing persons in the previous year. Local authorities were blaming wildlife, but these people were vanishing without a trace. If it were animals, there'd be gore. Some people suspected the police knew, but weren't saying anything. So we were called in. The police weren't helpful. The sheriff definitely knew something, but he didn't want to cooperate with the feds. Regardless, after following some leads, we suspected a sex trafficking thing. A lot of signs pointed to the mountains outside of town. There were 3 of us on the job. Trailed the sheriff on one of his hunting trips. Led us straight to the mountains. More specifically, a cave. There were signs, footprints and debris. More people had been here. We learned it wasn't sex trafficking. It was a cult. A different cult. Not this.
Are you still calling us a cult? Thought that would be old by now. Lovely story, by the way. Sorry to cut it short.
Lorenna! Lorenna, let us out! Oh, God.
So much spirit. I admit I'm impressed. I think a chat is in order, don't you? Before I get you back to work. Bring them to my office.
The Beating Heartland was written by Denver Baughman. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on whatever streaming platform you are using. Follow us online at The Beating Heartland. Thank you for listening.